Hi, good evening, friends. So, let us today start with the first chapter on ethics as given in the UPSC syllabus, which deals with ethics and human interface. Okay, this is the first heading that they have given in the UPSC syllabus. So, हम लोग UPSC syllabus को इस हम लोग जो series of lectures पढ़ेंगे ना, इसमें हम लोग we will confine ourselves to UPSC syllabus only. So, and we will deal with in this lecture we will confine ourselves to ethics and philosophy. This will be our boundary. Okay, so what we will do is we will understand what is philosophy, what is the need for philosophy. फिलोसफी का ज़रूरत ही क्या है, मतलब फिलोसफी क्यों पढ़े, अगर फिलोसफी पढ़े तो क्यों पढ़े, फिलोसफी में होता क्या है. We will understand all these things and we will also understand the need for philosophy in living a good life. Okay, then we will understand how philosophy, health and ethics are interrelated to one another, and then we will understand the difference between philosophy and science. उसके बाद हम लोग जो कॉन्सेप्ट थोड़ा सा पढ़ेंगे वो उन सारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स का अप्लाई करके हम लोग एक यूपीएससी मेंस का क्वेश्चन भी सॉल्व करेंगे. ओके, वी विल ट्राई टू सॉल्व अ क्वेश्चन ऑन यूपीएससी मेंस. ओके, because the answer writing is the very important part in while if you want to pass the civil services examination, and for that for that the not only the concepts are important but also application of those concepts are very important. Okay, so we will deal with the application of these concepts while attempting the UPSC mains question. Okay, but first let us start with the first thing first. Let's start with philosophy. Okay, so what is philosophy? Say philosophy comes from this Latin word philosophia, which means love for knowledge, wisdom. Okay, love for wisdom मतलब knowledge से प्यार, ज्ञान से प्यार. Okay, it is abstract. See, what basically abstract means that it cannot be felt through our sense organs. That means we need something beyond our senses to comprehend philosophy. Okay, but what is beyond our senses? It means that we need mind and consciousness. Okay, consciousness. Okay, not only consciousness but this awakened consciousness. Okay, the consciousness has to be awakened. It मतलब ऐसे ही हवा में consciousness नहीं, मतलब awakened consciousness. That means it has to be a trained consciousness. Okay, so we need mind and consciousness to understand philosophy. So philosophy cannot be touched and felt. So this is what is meant by abstract. And it is also dynamic. Dynamic मतलब it keeps on evolving. Philosophy is evolving in nature. Okay, that means it keeps on evolving with time, space and society. Time, space and society. Okay, so philosophy keeps on changing also. Time, space and society, it keeps on changing. See, what this means is that in the first, let's say after around let's say 600 BC, we had only Vedic philosophy. Okay, the Vedas were our basic source of information regarding philosophy. But see, the philosophy kept on changing with time. After that, India was invaded by foreigners और world में भी बहुत सारे developments हुआ. उसके बाद we had idea of Greek philosophers. We had Greek system of knowledge, philosophical thinking. Then we had the English system of philosophical thinking. Then after that a lot of movement happened, and then you know that we had our own Sufi Bhakti movement, Sufi movement, which are our own contribution to philosophy. And these are all, so you say, these are all changing things. See, once after the Vedic period, we also had Buddhism, and Jainism, and all those things, which are not only religions but also philosophical. Also gives us a philosophical understanding of life. So देखो ऋग वेदा से फिलोसफी फिर बुद्धिज्म हिंदुइज्म में बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म में इवॉल्व हुआ. उसके बाद फॉरेन इन्फ्लुएंस हुआ. उसके बाद भक्तिज्म सूफिज्म आया. उसके बाद देन वी हैड आवर ओन सोशल रिलीजियस रिफॉर्म्स व्हिच हैड स्वामी दयानंद, स्वामी विवेकानंद, रामकृष्ण परमहंस and all various other thinkers who gave us various ideas about philosophy. So philosophy is, you see, the main idea that I am saying is that philosophy is dynamic. It is keeping on changing. It is evolving. Okay, so philosophy is also dynamic. It is not static. Okay, see, philosophy is also a branch of study of general and fundamental problems. So what is this general and fundamental problems is that it deals with basic inquiry. Suppose, what is the purpose of life? What is the need to be alive? Need to be alive. Okay, this is the question that the philosophical philosophers mostly ask. Suppose, and then it also asks what is the higher purpose for which human beings, what is the higher purpose of human existence. Okay, what is the higher purpose of human existence? This is also what the philosophers ask. Then what makes a human different from an animal? These are all some fundamental problems about human nature. Okay, so, and these are all very general problems. As a, these are all specific problems. These are general problems about human existence, and it is a branch which, when out of that questioning, you gain knowledge, and you question your existence, the basis of your existence. You deal with values, you use reason, and also you analyze problems using the mind. You see, the mind is the most important thing in philosophy. The philosophy सबसे important tool is the mind. Okay, so the mind is the most important thing in philosophy, and you inquire about you. The philosophy deals with knowledge. It deals with the inquiry about existence. It deals with about inquiry about values. Suppose, what is the need for being truthful? Why should we be truthful? Or why should we look after our parents when they are old? Or why should we not commit, let's say, suicide? These are all interesting philosophical questions, and the branch of philosophy deals with that only, and it uses reason and mind to solve the problems. Okay, see, it solves problems through questioning, it solves problems using rational arguments, and also it solves problems using systematic presentation. So systematic presentation means that as a hawa mein nahi, matlab it basically means is that, suppose if the philosopher first observes, okay, after observation he does some analysis, then he does a comparison, a comparison, and after that maybe he comes to a conclusion. So see, you see, he is following some process, some method of gathering knowledge. Okay, so this is what is called, meant by systematic presentation. See, he follows a step by step approach. Okay, so this is what is meant by systematic presentation. And also you must understand that wise people are those who knows that philosophy is needed in leading a good life. You can, for example, let's say Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. You know him very well, right? He was not only a great nuclear scientist, but also he was also a great he had a great philosophical bend of mind, because you will always many times you would see him with various religious teachers, various religious gurus. He used to be in their company, because he was a wise man, and he knew that philosophy was needed for leading a good life. Okay, if you want to reach the true potential of your life, as a mechanical life will never help you to reach the true potential of a human being. If you want to reach your true potential, you will need philosophy at many stages in your life. For example, suppose, let's say, when you have tried your best, you have given your best while, let's say, while attempting to, let's say, pass an exam. You have given your best, okay, but still you didn't manage to pass it. Okay, this is because whether we succeed or not depends on multiple factors. Okay, so it depends on multiple factors. Okay, so you somehow didn't pass it, but then you are under immense grief. Okay, you are under immense grief. Now, how will you overcome this grief? This grief you can overcome using philosophy. You have to understand you have to take recourse to philosophy to overcome your grief and get back again to stable life. So how will you use philosophy? For example, you will understand that your main purpose in life is not to be materially successful. is like your main purpose is not to be materially successful. Okay, you have purpose, other you have a much more larger purpose in life, and that purpose includes constant striving for excellence, undeterred by failure, constant striving for excellence. Okay, undeterred by failure. Failure will not cannot stop you. It cannot Failure cannot stop you. It is only a momentary break. It is only a detour from the path of excellence. Okay, so this kind of things you can only understand using philosophy. So this is what why wise people, you see, wise people are also people who have also undergone multiple failures in their life. You don't become wise just one day. You become wise based on your training, based on experiences, based on the amount of observation you have made from life, based on the exposure you have gained from life. So wise people, because of their wide exposure, they have also undergone multiple failures, and they have after repeated observation and their personal experiences, they have understood that philosophy is ultimately something that will help them in the long run. So and this philosophy can be anything. It can be religious philosophy. Sometimes religion also helps you a lot while dealing with pressures of life. So it can be religious philosophy or non-religious philosophy. But ultimately, philosophy is something that helps us lead a good life. Philosophy, suppose for example, if you want, if you are very powerful, okay, what will prevent you from misusing power? Your moral consciousness will prevent you from misusing power, and this morality comes from philosophy only. Okay, so now according to Thoreau, philosopher is a person who lives a life of simplicity, magnanimity, honesty, and trust. See, he is driven by higher purpose, simplicity, generosity, honesty, and trust. This is how Thoreau describes a philosopher. Okay, you must remember these words. Okay, simplicity, magnanimity, honesty, trust. These are words you should use generously in your answers. Okay, while writing ethics answers, you should use these ethical words. These are simplicity, magnanimity, honesty, trust. A philosopher is an independent thinker. He is trying to make his own meaning in life. See, philosopher refuses to be part of the rat race. He is not bothered by material fame, glory. He is not bothered by money, fame, glory, power. Refuses to be part of that rat race, and he basically questions, what is the need for this rat race? I am a unique being. Why should I be part of this rat race? Rat race to be and rat race to be rat race to be a winner. Why should I need to be in this rat race? I can. Why do I need to fall to be need society to tell me that I am a winner? I can be a winner irrespective of how society thinks about me. If I am honest, and if I am true to my conscience, if I am honest and if I am true to my conscience, then I can consider myself to be a winner, irrespective of how society thinks about me. It does not matter. Okay, it does not matter how society thinks. Does not matter according to a philosopher. For example, you know the story of Socrates. See, Socrates was a person who was stoned to death by his people for because of his radical views. But Socrates never even, because of his radical views, he was stoned to death. Okay, but Socrates never even for once in his life decided to compromise on his views just out of threat from his fellows, from his fellow citizens, because he was so courageous, and because he was so brave. He did not succumb to that pressure of being part of that social acceptance. For him, social acceptance did not matter. For him, what he believed to be true, he stuck with it. He had that moral integrity to stick with it even in the face of adversity, and because of that his people poisoned him to death. Okay, but he never succumbed to his views and did not even yield to that pressure. He was moral out and out, even in the jaws of death. This is because he was a philosopher. He understood that what a good life is. He understood that good life is standing up for one's values, once never compromising on ethics, never compromising on morals. Okay, so for Socrates, these are much more important than being part of the rat race, fame, glory. For him, all those things didn't matter. Okay, so see, even Vivekananda said that with philosophy you can reach the ultimate truth of life. Vivekananda always from his very young age he had a philosophical bent of mind, and he wanted to understand the true ultimate truth of life. Means what does this life lead to? What is the need for us to be alive? What is the need for us to do our work? Why do we need to develop patience, perseverance? What is the need of all this? To understand all these things, you need philosophy, and Vivekananda took recourse to philosophy to try to unravel the secret mysteries of life. Okay, if one understands the greatest truth, one may not become rich, but surely he will be free from seeking worldly pleasures mindlessly. And see, seeking worldly pleasure mindlessly is also accompanied by a lot of misery. This is, as Buddha said, that we are all victims of desire, and this desire is such that it leads to greed, and the more greed you have, the more unfulfilled you will become, and the more unfulfilled you feel you will become, the more misery you will have. Okay, the root cause of misery is desire. This is what Buddha said, and Buddha understood it using philosophy only. So this is what Buddha believed, that if you chase material pleasures mindlessly, it will only give you misery. Okay, so you should always try to introspect. About life. That where, if I am doing civil services, what is the greater good that I am going to serve? If I don't find any greater good, then what is my incentive? Why do I need to spend my youth, this young age, at this prime of my youth, to prepare for this exam, if I am not adding anything of value to my society, to my people? If I don't improve their life, if I don't try to make a difference to their life, then what is the purpose of so much knowledge that I am trying to gain during this process? If I am not able to improve bring about any material change in the world as an officer, then what was the purpose of me passing such a difficult exam? If I am supposed to take bribe only, then what difference did those knowledge that I gained from the ethics class make to my life? These are the questions that you should ask, that a philosopher will always ask. These are the questions that is related to philosophy, and this philosopher will always ask these questions. Okay, so let us now deal with the branches of philosophy. See, philosophy can be divided into various branches. The first one is epistemology, the second is metaphysics, the third is logic, the fourth is ethics, the fifth is aesthetics. Okay, and the sixth is political philosophy. So let us understand each of them in details. So there are 6 branches of philosophy. Philosophy can be divided into 6 branches. Epistemology deals with the scope of knowledge, the nature of knowledge, the origin of the knowledge. It can only be experienced. Okay, the basis of epistemology is experience. The more experience you have, the more will be your scope of knowledge, and the more you will understand about the nature of knowledge and the origin of the knowledge. See, the origin of the knowledge is experience, and the more experience you have, the more will be your scope, and the more your scope increases, the more you will understand about the nature of the knowledge. So this is epistemology. See, if the another branch of physics is metaphysics. Metaphysics means it deals with what lies beyond the immediate reality, what lies beyond what we can feel and touch, what lies beyond that. Is there anything called heavens? Is there anything called heaven? Is there anything called God? Is there any higher being? This is dealt by metaphysics. It also deals with, for example, it also deals with karma, means past memories or past incidents. Does it affect our present life? Past memories or incident, does it affect our present lives? Or does our past birth affect our present situation? These are all metaphysical questions. These are all dealt by philosophy only. Okay. Suppose I give a very crude example, but this is one of the example that comes to my mind. See, sometimes in karma, I remember, one of neighbor of mine, he actually basically he met with a bike accident. Okay, and in that bike accident, what happened was that his 9-year-old kid, he suffered so much that ultimately he had to lose his life. But when people confronted him, and he said that this thing that happened to him was because of his past karma. Basically what he meant was that that it is maybe because of some sins that he has done in the past, that his future life has been affected in this way, that he had to lose a son due to an accident. So these are the concepts that are dealt with metaphysics. Okay. Then logic means science of arguments. For example, if you want to say that we should allow passive euthanasia. Okay, passive euthanasia. This is anesthesia. This is wrong. This is euthanasia. Okay, passive euthanasia. If we should allow passive euthanasia, then what is the logic for us to allow passive euthanasia? What are the arguments, coherent arguments that we have for passive euthanasia? For example, we want to reduce suffering. We don't want to prolong natural process of life and death. We do not want to prolong and or interfere in that. So these are all logical arguments, and these are dealt with logic. Another branch of philosophy is ethics. So ethics is basically a branch of philosophy only. It deals with the science of morality. That means what is right, what is wrong, why I should, for example, be a patriot, or why I should not perform, for example, violence, or why I should practice Gandhian principle and not, for example, do himsa. These are all questions of ethics. For example, what is the need to, for example, the veg versus non-veg debate. These are all questions of ethics. Okay, there is no right and wrong answer for this, but these are all questions which are dealt with ethics. Okay, it deals with science of morality. So another branch of philosophy is aesthetics. It deals with beauty, love. It deals with pleasure. For example, you see a rose. For example, many of you gift rose to your spouse during Valentine's Day. Why do you give them? This is because you are driven by the philosophy of aesthetics. You are driven by not only the beauty of the rose, but also you are driven by love and beauty. You are driven by love, beauty, and care. These are all comes under the concept of aesthetics. Okay, it is your aesthetic pleasure that has propelled you to appreciate beauty in that other person. Okay, so it is another branch of philosophy is aesthetics. Uh, the last branch of philosophy is political philosophy. Political philosophy basically deals with concepts of liberty. Liberty means freedom. Liberty deals with concepts of justice. Justice means fairness. Fairness means what is right or what is wrong. Okay, fairness. It deals with law. It deals with enforcement. It deals with enforcement. It means application of law. Okay, these are all concepts which are dealt with by justice, by political philosophy. It deals with, it gives a theoretical backing to the for the legitimacy of the government. Okay, suppose we have a government which is which is based on democracy. This government gains legitimacy from the fact that it is chosen by majority of the people, and this kind of ideas are dealt by political philosophy. Political philosophy deals with what gives the legitimacy to the government, or why a democratic government is more legitimate than a, for example, than a dictatorial government. These are all dealt with by political philosophy. Okay, so these are the 6 branches of philosophy that we discussed. Now let us understand the difference between philosophy and science. Okay, see, science basically deals with analytical description. Science always deals with analysis of natural phenomenon. Okay, natural phenomenon, analysis of natural phenomenon. For example, tides. Why does tide happen? Tide happens because of gravitational pull of sun and moon of earth waters, because of gravitational pull. Okay, this is a natural phenomenon, and this natural phenomenon is dealt with by science. Okay, it is an analytical description of natural phenomenon. It it tries to resolve the whole into parts. So science, how do you deal with science? What is the method in science? The method in science is dissection. Science basically dissects and cuts. This is the basic nature of science. See, suppose you want to study a leaf, for example, you have to dissect the leaf. Many of you, if you have had biology in your school, you must have dissected a frog. Why did you dissect a frog? You dissected a frog because you wanted to study it. You wanted to study its various parts. You wanted to see what parts performs which function. This is the basic nature of science. Science is dissecting and bisecting. It breaks the whole into part, and then what also science does. Wait just a second, please. And also what science does is that it brings the hidden to obscure. It brings the hidden into known, into light. Okay, it brings the hidden into light. For example, natural phenomenon like gravity was not known to physicists before Newton. So what Newton did was that he brought the idea of the gravity, of the phenomenon of gravity, to light before his people, before the world. So he brought the hidden thing. Hidden thing means it already existed, but it existed in a hidden way because nobody knew about it. And then he brought that into light. He made people aware of it. So this is the basic purpose of life. It brings the hidden into light. Okay, the obscure. Obscure means hidden into known. It tries to break the whole into parts. I told you that suppose a frog, you have to understand the frog, you have to dissect and bisect it. You have to break it into parts. Okay, so it brings the whole into part. That is, it breaks the organism into organs. That means for the frog is an organism. Okay, and from an organism, to understand it, we have to break it into organs. For example, according to science, a nation state is also an organism, but this organism runs on various organs. For example, economy is an organ, legislature, polity is an organ, constitution is an organ, laws of the nation are organs. These organs support the organism. Okay, so science, basically scientific inquiry will always deal with these organs to understand the organism in totality. It understands the organism from its organs. Okay, so science is, it basically gives knowledge and it contributes to physical and material well-being. Science can never contribute to spiritual well-being because it deals with natural laws. Okay, natural laws, and natural laws does not gives you material physical well-being. For example, using the natural law of gravity, we can send satellites to space. Okay, and these satellites are used in TVs, telecommunication, radios, mobile connections, etc. So these are all parts of physical well-being, material well-being. Okay, this is the basic idea of science, that it contributes to physical and material well-being. It also tells us how to heal and kill. You must understand that science tells us how to heal. Suppose all the medicines, the vaccines that we had, for example, Pfizer is a vaccine to deal with corona. Now this is all coming into light because of scientific discoveries. So science tells us how to heal. It also tells us how to kill, because see, all the weapons you had, nuclear weapons, the rocket launchers, etc., are all used to kill people. Okay, the bombs, these are all used to kill people. So science is a double-edged sword. It tells us how to heal and also how to kill. See, it reduces death in retail. This means during disease, for example, cancer, or for example, high BP, high blood pressure, etc. For example, you had hypertensions, you had cholesterol, high cholesterol, etc. These can be all those things which causes adverse difficulties to a body and can eventually lead to a person's death has been checked by science. For example, smallpox earlier used to kill a lot of people, but today smallpox has been eradicated. So this is the wonder of science, that it has taught us how to reduce death, but it has also taught us how to kill people in a large scale. For example, during Hiroshima Nagasaki, about Hiroshima Nagasaki, around 1 crore people were affected by the nuclear blast. So it killed about large people in wholesale means in large amount it killed people. So this is the basic criteria of science. But in comparison, let us study the basic idea of philosophy also. So in comparison, philosophy is a synthetic interpretation. Synthetic interpretation basically means that it deals with the synthetic interpretation basically happens. So philosophy basically deals with synthetic interpretation. That means it deals with spiritual aspects of life. Okay, spiritual aspects of life. This is the basic nature of philosophy, that it deals with spiritual aspects of life. It also, what it does is that it also helps in attaining wisdom. Spirituality does not help in knowledge. It helps in going beyond knowledge. It helps in receiving ultimate knowledge, which is wisdom. Philosophy, the basic purpose of philosophy is that it does not resolve the whole by breaking it into parts. Rather, it takes the part and joins it into a whole. This is the basic nature of philosophy. Philosophy is an integrative force. Okay, philosophy is an integrating force. Which this means that it joins. Philosophy joins. Okay, using philosophy you can join various dimensions and get a comprehensive understanding about life. For example, you want to understand for example, you want to understand the nation, but to understand the nation, you don't need just land. To understand the nation completely, you have to you need land, but you also need people. You also need to understand the minds of the people. You also need to understand the aspirations of the people. You also need to understand what makes people happy. You also need to understand happiness. You also need to understand, for example, the laws that governs the nation. Everything combined together will become part of philosophy. Okay, all these things combined together will become part of philosophy. Philosophy helps us live in peace and satisfaction. It can help us deal with inner tussle and mental dissonance and cognitive dissonance. Suppose you perform an unethical task of let's say telling a lie, but then how do you justify your conscience that you have told a lie? Then you develop a logic around that lie. Suppose if your lie is to save a person, then you can easily say, you can justify to yourself that this lie was a lie which was needed, which provided life to someone. So philosophy helps us to deal with this inner tussle and live in peace and satisfaction. Okay, so another thing about philosophy, it tells us when to use science and for what. Philosophy basically helps us deal with the application of science. Suppose, for example, application of science is dealt by philosophy, and for example biotechnology, for example genetic crops genetic crops. uh, why should we use genetic crops? What is the purpose of using genetic crops? Is genetic crops good for society? Does it, for example, destroy biodiversity? Does it destroy other crops? These are all philosophical questions that, or for example, can man, for example, tamper with nature just for his own greed? These are all philosophical questions which are dealt with, which are dealt with which are dealt with by philosophy, and it helps us to moderate the use of science and also to ensure that science is used for the larger well-being, not only of ourselves but also for the earth as a whole. See, I told you now, philosophy is an integrative force. It integrates everything. Okay, so it tends to look at the earth as a whole and try to prevent every balance in human conduct, so that there is no natural, so the natural disbalance does not occur. Okay, so main purpose of philosophy is to ensure balance, and it ensures balance by trying to integrate various elements into consideration. It takes various elements into consideration, and thus it tries to achieve a sole objective of harmonious existence and sustainable development by making sure that various aspects of life are addressed in its whole totality. Okay, so this is the basic idea called difference between science and philosophy. Now let us understand, let us conclude. So in order to live a good life, as we have understood that both science and philosophy is needed, because without science no modernity can happen. If you need modernity, then science is essential, but science alone cannot help you to deal with the adverse impacts of modernity. So to deal with the adverse impact and to mitigate it, philosophy is essential. Okay, philosophy is essential. Now let us try to answer an UPSC question. So what is the role of philosophy in leading an ethical life? Let us ponder over this question, friends, and I give you 2 minutes to think about it, and then we can resume the discussion again. Okay, so just think about it. So friends, let us try to answer this question. What is the role of philosophy in leading an ethical life? See, the question is asking you what is the role of philosophy. That means what purpose does philosophy play in leading an ethical life. So, if a person wants to live an ethical life, what is the role that what can he learn from philosophy, or how can philosophy help a person in leading an ethical life? This is what the question is asking you. Okay. Now, in UPSC, you must understand that you have to answer only to the point. The examiner will now not will penalize you if you don't answer to the point. Okay. So, how will you approach this question? So, first, let us we have to briefly define what is defined in one or two lines about philosophy. Okay. What is the purpose of philosophy? That it is a what does philosophy deals with? For example, it deals with existence. It deals with knowledge, it deals with creation of knowledge, it deals with logic, reason and analysis of it deals with observation through logic, reason and analysis, and also it deals with it uses the tool of the mind and it uses reason. Okay. So, this is what we have to write in the first first paragraph of your answer. You have to deal with the nature, what is philosophy, or what is the nature of philosophy, or what is the scope of philosophy. This is what you have to deal with in one or two lines. Then you have to deal with what is the role of philosophy in leading an ethical life. Okay. Now, how does philosophy help a person lead an ethical life? Okay, philosophy will help a person in leading an ethical life through systematic inquiry. This systematic inquiry, it can help a person and deal with, for example, cognitive dissonance. It can help a person deal with cognitive dissonance and can provide peace and satisfaction. Okay, and then how does philosophy, what else, what other role does philosophy play? Philosophy can help a person in dealing with crisis of conscience. This concept we will deal later. Okay, crisis of conscience we will deal when we come to conscience, the topic of conscience. Okay, see, crisis of conscience means that when your conscience does not support a particular action, but still under pressure you are forced to do that action. So, how do you justify this to yourself? Okay, this you can justify through philosophy. Also, you must understand that philosophy also helps you with aesthetic beauty. It deals with ethics. It brings about balance and sustainability in life. Okay, it brings about balance, joy and sustenance in life. Okay, also philosophy helps us stand for a much more bigger role in life. Stand for a much more bigger cause in life. Sacrifice personal good for social good, because these ideas evolve based on inquiry about human existence. What is the purpose of human existence? So, these ideas evolve through inquiry of human existence. Okay. So, these are basically the points that you have to cover while writing this answer. Okay, what is the role of philosophy in leading an ethical life? Then you can always end this answer using a quotation based on a relevant quotation where philosophy and ethical life are related to one another. For example, you can always quote Thoreau. For example, we just studied about Thoreau, and you can quote Thoreau where he said that philosopher is a person who lives a life based on simplicity, magnanimity, honesty and trust. So, you can always say while ending this answer that you can always say that the role of philosophy ultimately helps in making a person honest, magnanimous, truthful, and it also helps in making a person honest, magnanimous, truthful, and simplicity, and also it provides simplicity to a person. So, this you can always write in the conclusion. Okay. So, this is what brings to the end of the first lecture. I wish you all the best. Thank you.